Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and please forgive the mess that I am. The 5 sauce t-shirt, I'm basically sat in my pyjamas. Just thought I'd film something with you because I just had absolutely no energy yesterday, and energy again is still a little bit hit and miss. And what I have is this little pile here, and from the title you can tell that it will be my top 5. I'm going to do top 5, and that's 10. My top 5 series. So these are the ones that, looking at my bookcase, I can look at those and just say, I liked you, I remember your storyline. Even if I do confuse which book's which, but I like the storyline. They just stuck with me, and I would like to share them with you. Some of them you probably have read because they are quite big books, like author and series wise, they're like kind of key. But I'm just trying to think if there's anything else maybe I would have missed. I think they're the ones that came to mind when I just thought to film this video. But yeah, if you'd like to know what my top 5 series that you should read are, then just keep on watching. Okay, so we're going in actually like no particular order whatsoever. The first one on my pile is the Red Queen series here by Victoria Aveyard. Now, the only reason I read this was because I had a meet and greet and a Waterstones book signing with her 2 years ago, I think, in the Nottingham Waterstones, and I've seen this cover like absolutely everywhere on my Bookstagram, so I was like, let's go, sounds cool. So I got this one off like World of Books, so it's all kind of like tatty and a bit gross, like it's all like just a bit not nice, not how I would have treated my books. And the rest of the series is all bought from Waterstones and all very nice and pretty. But this series is just really unique in the sense that at the heart of it, it's all about class division and one class thinking they're superior because of something that they really heavily base their identity on. So I think in this case, Reds and Silvers or something like that, and Silvers, their blood runs silver and they've got these amazing powers, whereas like she's red and she's got these amazing powers too, so it's like changing the status quo, and she's a threat because she undermines their whole power structure, and the whole series is just based upon this dynamic between two brothers, their power struggle alongside the power struggle of this poor girl that really did not ask for the situation that she's in. Like every other YA novel there's out there, like, I mean, look at the Hunger Games. I mean, Katniss really did not want to be a rebel, but that just happened. So yeah, I just really like this. This book itself, after reading this one all the way through to the last one, the writing in this isn't actually as good as the last one, but the last one was written 4 years later when she'd had a whole series and so much more experience. This is really easy to read. I like the concepts, I really love the imagery and just the action in it and the kind of the suspense, and also it's really hard to read a few of the characters in this. It's really hard to read their intentions, and like with kind of everybody, but one of them you think genuinely loves the main female protagonist. It's like a love triangle between two brothers and her, and one of the brothers doesn't turn out who he's meant to be and all that sort of stuff. Now, he's the really interesting one just because he's a little bit psychologically askew. It's really interesting to see how his brain functions, what drives his motives. Is he genuinely caring for this girl, or is she just a means to an end? But I really like that series because it's really interesting to see character development over the series too, because that character, his name is Maven, if I remember correctly, he goes through quite a lot of character developments, and there's some big things that happen throughout the course of the series. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint what happens in each one because it's been so long. Like the Mortal Instruments, I don't even know what happens in what book anymore. Like they all just kind of merge together. But yeah, I really recommend that, especially it's so YA. If you're like a YA junkie like me, YA fantasy, that is the book that you want to read. Really good. Just the entire series, I really enjoyed it. It gets a lot better towards the end just because writing's better, she's got more clarity as to where the story's going, from my point of view anyway. Characters are more developed, you grow up with them. Well, if you would have read them one per year, then you would have grown up as they did, and you can just see their development, and it's definitely a story, a series that I would probably reconsider rereading. I don't actually ever really reread any books. I know some people do an annual reread of Harry Potter or stuff like that, but one, I don't have time, and two, I think there's too many books out there for me to want to reread one that I already have. This is number one. I would definitely recommend for you to read the Red Queen series if you're into YA and you like a bit of fantasy. This one's a little bit cheesy, but if you just get through it to do the rest of them, then you'll be okay. Next one is Noughts and Crosses by Malorie Blackman. If you are from the UK, you will definitely know Malorie Blackman and definitely know her work in her series. She was Poet Laureate, Children's Laureate, sorry, 2013-2015. She's an incredible woman, incredible thinker, incredible person. I had the pleasure of meeting her this year at YALC, and everything she stands for is just everything I agree with, and I just really like her as a person. I just like her. But this is a work of art, published actually quite a long time ago. Oh, do you want to see my cheeky little signature right here? Published, I think it was at least a decade ago. It was published in 2001. So yeah, over a decade, almost 2 decades. Whoa. But this one, very similarly to Red Queen, is about race relations, effectively. So this one, crosses are people who are black, and noughts people who are white, and history is the other way around. So the noughts are kind of the people that are seen as lower class. They're always a stereotype as kind of the no-goods. The crosses are the elite, the rich people, the ones in politics, the ones running the country. So she's like, it's like a speculative fiction piece as to what maybe would have happened if history went the other way. This first book will genuinely break your heart. There is a death in there that I will never get over, and still haven't. I read that book 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and that's one of the most biggest character deaths I will not get over. Hey, maybe that's a video. It's so real, so kind of gripping, and you feel like the world that they're in is the world that we're in, and you feel like, I felt so much passion for these characters. I was like, that's not fair. Your life shouldn't be like this. And I just really appreciated the story, how expertly crafted it was, and if anything it only got better. I didn't notice a significant difference in writing style or anything like that. I just think the storyline is so interesting, all the political avenues that Malorie chooses to go through and how she chooses to represent them, all the things she chooses to comment on that are so relevant for her time of writing, for race relations and just politics and stuff in England. And to be fair, a lot of it is applicable to the globe, and also it's fitting because she just released Crossfire, which I've got over there, and that's her 6th book that is actually 18 years later from the last book. And she wrote that because of everything that was going on in England at the time, and she just needed an outlet. And she said one of her characters was like whispering in her ear, like, write my story, it's not finished. And I would just really appreciate how she's done that, and I feel like she really gives a category of people a voice with her writing, so I really like it. So this one is perfect. Again, it's really YA based, all of these are. Can't help it, I love a bit of YA, guilty pleasure. So this is YA, but it's more contemporary and more a bit speculative, so it's not about like superpowers or anything like that. It's just normal society, but society is just switched, so the stereotypes are kind of the other way around. And but I really like that, and I just like the world. Well, I don't like the world, but I appreciate and I really enjoy reading that whole series entirely. This is the next one. This is Shatter by Tahereh. I think I said that right because I remember her hearing it on Instagram. Tahereh Mafi. This one I saw all over Instagram ages ago. Like, when was this published? This one I got off Amazon. So this edition is like an international edition. It's not even like a UK one, because it's got like a really weird cover. This was actually, again, 2011. Now I think I read it a lot later, probably 2012, 2013, but the series is incredible. So this is YA, bit of fantasy, bit of supernatural powers and stuff going on, but not superheroes. So it follows this girl Juliet who has the power to kind of draw energy from a person and effectively kill them. And she's got like superhuman strength and stuff like that, and she doesn't realise she's been technically like abused her whole life and misunderstood, and she's just very mentally damaged as an individual. So first off, it's really interesting to look at it from a psychology perspective and just read and interpret how her external factors and her environment have impaired her mental state. I said it like I'm a psychology graduate or something. Also, like a massive buildings moment, I have to say, because from this first book all the way through to, what's the other one? Defy Me, I think is the last one. That one only came out this year. So from this all the way to the one that's just come out this year, and that's the 5th book, I think. So her character development is incredible. Spoiler, she goes from this timid little thing all the way into something, an incredible strong woman who, just like everyone, even though she seems fixed, she still has her kind of mental issues. She's still kind of affected by what's happened to her, but herself, there's like an embodiment of confidence. She's now in control of her situation. She's in control of her body. She's reclaimed her body and its strength throughout the course of the series, and that's really interesting to look at. But also, I just like the whole concept of a world that has been overtaken by a dictatorship and is kind of run by a military dictator. Then there's this group of people that for some reason have these really cool powers, and they have the ability to like overthrow the government. But then on the back of that, there's the question as to why these people have these really cool powers. Where did it come from? And that is something that actually gets looked into being answered come to the last few books in the season. So you look season, what is it, TV show? Series. So you're looking at kind of season 4, season 5, what's it again? Please. Series, and like looking at it in like book 4, book 5, like the last 2, I can't remember if there's 6 or 5 books in the series, but the last 2 books is when it really starts to get like really dove into like pretty deep as to why Prison Break, and you know about the company, how there's like something running the government that isn't actually the government, and they really are in control rather than the government. Similar to American Horror Story Apocalypse, how you've got the company there who have made all these contingencies and now the last thing to survive. Similar situation, so it's interesting to see how this weird thing has come in and made all these magic people that have really cool invisible and super strength powers. I just like the writing and I like the format. I don't know what it is, but I like books where not the norm of textual display. So like, if you look, you can see here there's like crosses through the text, and even on some of the later ones you have a full page of writing just like this, and it's technically like Juliet's journal, and she just crossed it all out and you can still read underneath it, which is really interesting, so you can really understand what she's going through. But I just really like the concept, and again, she is a protagonist who is a rebel, unwittingly so and unintentionally, and she just kind of has to deal with it. Okay, so the next series is the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. This is a trilogy, this one legendary and finale, and this one is something I've actually read relatively recently, probably within the last 2 years, and it's, I don't know if it's YA, but it's heavily fantastical, heavily all about magic and just wonder and mystery and the dark side of all of that, which is really cool because magic is always seen as something that's amazing, life-changing, always good and always incredible. I don't know why I'm moving like that, but this one really shows you the dark side of magic and all its possibilities, and how it can be quite mysterious and daunting and actually quite intimidating, which is quite similar to the next book we'll get to, that bad boy on the top. And it's just, I like that. I'm so tired. Very dream-like, dream-esque. The concept of it is very interesting. 2 girls wanting to escape an abusive father after their mother left them quite some years ago. They can only do so when this kind of Caraval comes to town, and they manage to kind of pull off and escape to said carnival. Apologies if you haven't read it. It goes on from there, but it's not until the end of this novel that you realise there was a bigger plan at play that was just out of depth for the two protagonists. Like, it's about two sisters and how they're just trying to stay together, sisterly bond, and trying really hard to just make it and just be safe. The older sister, Scarlett, she annoys me just a little bit, slightly. I don't know why. I feel like if she was a person, I just really would be annoyed by her. The younger one, Donatella, I really like that name by the way. Tella, she's brash and impulsive and really adventurous and just down for experiences and adventure. She is the main reason this whole story is going along, really. And she's kind of the backbone to it. Without realising it, she's actually the main reason for this story flowing. And it technically is all about her, because Scarlett wants to get her sister back, because she kind of gets lost. Spoiler again, but you know that doesn't count. And I won't tell you what the outcome is, but a lot of things gets revealed at the end, and it's a novel that's deep, that gives you so many trust issues, because all the actors in Caraval are purely actors, so they're in that period of time, they are that person, so you don't know who's an actor and who's actually a participant. So you can meet people, you don't know whether they're an actor or not, unless it's explicitly obvious, like they're a street vendor or a shop owner or something. So Scarlett meets these people, and from the get-go you're just fully unaware as to whether or not what their intentions are, if they're a street vendor, like an actor, or if they're a normal other human. Characters like that pop up a fair bit, and you just don't know whether to trust them or not, especially when it gets later on in the series, when we get into the business about the fates. They're like an almighty godly type being with these really weird powers. Yeah, I just really like all the magic and all the wonder that's in it, and how dark it is as well. It's just really interesting that there's just so much mystery. It just attacks your senses from all sorts of areas, and it's just, I just really like it. Okay, so last but not least, at number 5, we have the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. This first book in the series is called Lady Midnight. When I first read this one, I thought it was big, yeah, but if you look at the other ones, they're way bigger. This one has to be my favourite series by far that Cassandra Clare has written. Yeah, the Mortal Instruments are great. Yeah, the Infernal Devices are great too. This one is the best one. This one is set now, so 2016, 17, 2016, because then that would mean 3 years, and then that's 3 books. Yes, that's set there, and it's following the Blackthorn family. So it's a group of kids who've been orphaned by the Dark War, and they are living in the LA Institute with I think there's like Julian, Livy, Ty, Drew, Tavian. They're the Blackthorns, and then they've got 2 older siblings, Mark and Helen, which have kind of been off by the clave. So they're without them, and Julian's only about like 14 or something. But I think when their parents died he was like 12. But they live in the institute with their uncle, who apparently runs the institute. You can hint from my apparently that that's not actually the case. And then it just follows them, and a relationship between Emma and Julian, and Emma is a Carstairs, I don't know how you say it. Their parabatai bond, and how is their bond purely about being a parabatai, or is it more romantic, and what that means, because the parabatai bond isn't made for romantic feelings, it's just not that way inclined, so it just follows how they deal with that. And it's really interesting how much depth and detail that Cassandra actually puts into her novels, and how easily she's managed to intertwine so many storylines into one book. I have to say, ever since watching the Shadowhunters TV show, that has genuinely ruined the characters of Jace and Clary for me. Genuinely ruined them. Like, now whenever they pop up in a book, I'm just like, ugh, go away. Like, that TV show, just please don't watch it. If you're going to watch an adaptation, just watch the film that had Lily Collins and Jamie Bower in it, because TV show on Netflix just didn't do it for me at all. Just, I really, really love all of the characters. I love the dynamic of the Blackthorn family and just how they function. The amount of inclusivity that Cassandra puts in her novels is just also incredible as well. So Helen, the oldest Blackthorn, who has been kind of shunned, is that the right word? Shunned to an island. Yeah, Helen's part fairy, but her so she was shunned for that, and also she is a lesbian. So it's really interesting how Cassandra actually puts LGBTQ representation in her novels as well, because there's another character in there, I won't say who because it was quite a shock, who is actually trans, and it's just really good how she like falls in love in the end, and it's just all nice and happy in the end, and that person accepts her. Bear in mind that person is a fairy, but that's not the point. So this one is really heavily based on the aftermath of the Dark War that occurred in the Mall Instruments, and also the relationship between fairies and shadow hunters, how fairies are like deceiving and like deceitful, and all of those stereotypes that shadow hunters made about them. And it's just really interesting to see all of the characters grow up. It has reference to the Lost Herondale, and that is something that is picked up in her new book. I don't have it. Ghost of the Shadow Market, and it's just incredible. This season, the series was really good. The books are pretty, and it's just one of those that's really YA, really fantasy, just about love and what people will do for love effectively, and how far people will go. And yeah, I forgot this on the side too. All of the Cassandra Clare's writing, but this series has to be my favourite. The Dark Artifices has to be my favourite series out of all of the ones she's done, including all the standalones. I just really love the dynamic of the Blackthorn family. I really like all the complications, all the characters in it, the storyline and the plot twists, and the deaths. There's another death in this series that will be on my characters I will not get over dying list, I can assure you that. But yeah, that was my whole list of 5 series that you should read. Sorry that they're all really narrow and like YA and magic-y type things, but I just really love them, and if you're into that, I really think that you'll enjoy these series too. If you've read any of them, let me know. Even if you didn't even like them, let me know, because you know I'm always open to looking at things from a different perspective. But yeah, that is today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, all of that good stuff down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!